Washington and Spokane voters are famously independent, voting for the person and not the party. Voters want to know the person behind the policy. Join host Sulani Madsen as she interviews 2016 general election candidates for local, state, and federal office on the experiences that have shaped their lives. The Meet the Candidate series is sponsored as a community service by the Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, the law office of D.C. Cronin, and We Believe, We Vote. Now, here's your host, Sulani.
Welcome to Meet the Candidate, and my guest today is Michael Waite, who is a candidate for state treasurer.
Good afternoon. Lovely to be here.
Very nice to have you here. And my first question to everyone is always to tell people what the office is that you're running for. What do you see as the responsibilities?
Great. Yeah, the state treasurer. Core functions, manage the state's cash. Second, advise on the state's pension plans and investments. And third, place the debt on the state. When we need to borrow money, the treasurer runs the process of placing the debt on the state. And fourth is be a statewide advocate for fiscal responsibility and weigh in on issues that should protect taxpayer dollars. And that last one is a big part of my campaign.
Okay, so so you're the watchdog over the state funds.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what kind of education? We can all tell from your voice that you have an accent from elsewhere. So tell us a little bit about your education and where you grew up.
Yes, no hiding from that. I born in Australia, came to the United States in 1995, and I was playing professional tennis at the time. So that's what brought me to the United States originally. And then since then, educated in the United States with my college in Columbus, Georgia, in the Deep South, and then worked in Atlanta before doing my MBA at Emory University in Atlanta. So that's the education path through here, great American education. And later, I am very proud to say that I became a United States citizen. So it's been a great journey. Okay,
so how did you get from the Southeast to the Northwest?
Yes, I met a girl. And
lots of stories start that way.
Yeah. So my wife, we met in Atlanta. She's from Iowa, and she was finishing up her medical degree and her master's in public health from Emory University. I was chief financial officer of a firm in Atlanta when we met, and her residency, her number one choice in the country above all schools, was Seattle Children's Hospital to do her residency. So we came out here for her residency in 2008.
Oh, okay.
And we've been here ever since, and she's still at Seattle Children's? Still Seattle Children's, associate professor of pediatrics for the University of Washington, Seattle Children's.
Well, I know that one of the reasons we're trying to get more medical residents in Eastern Washington is because residents do tend to settle where they do their residency.
We are a perfect example.
You
we
are.
Love it.
You're a poster child
yeah,
for that. Okay,
exactly.
We'll have you over to testify for the medical school sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what kind of jobs did you have growing up? Now, you were a professional tennis, so it sounds like sports took up a lot of your time.
They did. I grew up in a country town, so my hometown is 5,000 people. Country Australia, farming town. Mum and Dad still live there in the same house. They literally brought me home from the hospital too. Oh. So country town, you can imagine it was, mowing lawns and, whatever chores you could earn literally $1 if you're lucky. Through high school, wasn't much. It was just playing tennis, to be honest. And then to pay for the tour lifestyle, because when you're starting out as a professional tennis player, it is not a cash flow positive exercise. And so it was coaching tennis. I've coached tennis since, frankly, I was 7 or 8 years old, or like very young. Coached for 20 years. That sort of helped pay the bills throughout. I did work in the tennis club bar, so for functions and just serving people and at events. So that was another good way to make some money. It was all part-time work when I was back in Australia and not playing on the tour. So that was the main bit. Did a summer bashing shoots off of vines in the vineyards near my hometown, and that was post-high school for just a few months, and to try and make some money before I went out and played tennis. So
it's nice that you were self-supporting your tennis habit, because that's
subsidizing
your tennis habit.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, Mum and Dad were doing a lot of the hard yards though too. I tip my hat to what they went through to make it possible for those opportunities. I mean, that they had helped support it for a long time through those coaching, when you're getting coaching growing up, and driving me left and right to tournaments. And I'm sure they look at it as part of giving me great opportunities. Now, as a parent of 2 young girls, I can see just really the burden it must have been, to be honest. So living in a country town, driving 3 hours to the nearest city, as you can imagine, every weekend for tournaments.
So you've said thank you to Mom and Dad then.
I've tried to many times, but I'm not sure I could make up for what they went through, but it was a great journey. Yeah.
Okay. So in your education at Emory, what were some of the most interesting classes maybe that you took? Something that stuck in your mind as a key moment in college life?
Yeah. Look, I look at the MBA experience was incredible. 3 big things for me. One, the contacts and the friends that came out of it, which they're still with me to the day. They're the people that when I face business problems, I can pick up the phone to and call and be like, hey, I'm experiencing this. What have you seen? And that's an incredible experience / peer mentor network to have. Second, the experiences. They really pushed us. We went from a service model to where we went to Grady, which is the hospital, the emergency hospital, like Harborview in Seattle, and you had to show people around. It was just like a community service operation, and you had to, strangers, just help them find a room in a place that you had no idea about. And then, and another one was tested my strength was we jumped out of a plane and did skydiving, and as a part of our courage philosophy.
So part of the MBA was really stretching yourself in other ways.
Exactly. It was optional, but everyone did it. So, well, pretty much. So, and then third, to hit your question, was the subject. The content matter was intense. They threw so much work at you in every subject. It forced you to prioritize, because basically someone worked out, and I didn't check these numbers, but someone worked out you'd have to read 100 pages an hour, every hour for 24 hours, every day to read everything. So clearly you couldn't. So you had to choose how to balance all that was flooding at you.
So that was a lesson in itself.
That was probably one of the biggest takeaways, as everyone I think can imagine, with all the data coming at us all in our lives, how to still function, make great decisions, and keep moving. And that was, and then of course there was some great professors and some great actual experiences within that classroom that I obviously learned a ton from.
Well, that's a fascinating thought. I wonder now if some of my professors were practicing the same thing. You can't learn everything, so you'll have to pick what you're going to follow up on.
No, it's.
So you said you've got your wife's still at Seattle Children. You have 2 young daughters, and you live in the West Side. In where? Yeah,
so like I said, I'm a long way from my hometown of 5,000 people. It is downtown Seattle. We live in a place called Beacon Hill, which is...
that is a long ways from country
Australia. And as you know, I'm running as a Republican in this race, and just to give context, I think the district voted about 80% Democrat, 20% Republican last election. So but we're turning it one by one, and it's great for my wife's work. She has a lot of long hours and different shifts. My office is downtown, and I work in professional finance, so it is good for us because we can avoid a lot of the commute struggles that people are having in the West Side. And it's a real shame because it really impacts families, and it really impacts the community because people are sitting in traffic and they're frustrated, and you can't get her out of it.
It does make sense. I mean, that makes perfect sense to live near where you work.
If you can. And we're very fortunate that we have a position to be able to, but many people can't. And it's a problem that's not got any good leadership right now.
Yeah. Well, state treasurer isn't a terribly partisan position. Everybody wants the banker to be careful with the money.
That's right.
About it. There's not really any politics to that. I've got the last couple of minutes that I've saved for you to make your pitch. Tell me why should people vote for Michael Waite for state treasurer?
Excellent. As Michael Waite, running as a finance professional, not a professional politician, and that's what I believe we deserve. Every Washingtonian, like you said, of independents, Democrats, and Republicans, deserve a finance professional, not a professional politician, as their state treasurer. And that's our focus of our campaign. It's a message of competence. I bring a passion for finance. It's been my career. I'm currently Senior Vice President of Operations at Bentel Kennedy. We're an institutional investment advisor. We manage over $11 billion here in the United States. And before that, I headed up accounting for Bill Gates' global investment private investment firm And that's where they manage over $70 billion. So I actually come to the role with the right skills to manage our state's money and help the citizens get the best value out of this frankly underperforming state government. And the couple of things that I'm really going to focus in on, state debt. We've hit $20 billion. We have the 6th highest state debt per person in the country. Illinois is 5th. We've already passed California, who's sitting in 9th.
That doesn't sound like a race we want to win.
No, it's not a race we want to win. And we're going to spend for the first time in our history, $2 billion of our budget is going on debt payments. So it's a staggering amount of money that's going to not help our education, our other priorities, public safety and social safety net and infrastructure, and that's a big cost. Second is I really want to serve passionately as the statewide advocate for fiscal responsibility. And third is I will deliver just a lot more common sense and a lot less politics as usual from your state's money manager. The incumbent is advocating for a state income tax. That is absolutely not a responsible way to be the state's chief financial officer. I will fight against the state income tax, and I will just be there to help evaluate on both sides as things come forward, are they good financially for our state? And that's what I'll be doing every day, using my 15 plus years of private industry experience to do so.
Okay. Well, Michael, I think you summed that up very nicely, and I appreciate you coming by to visit with me.
Thanks, Ilani. Appreciate your time. Cheers.
Meet the Candidate is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. The Meet the Candidate series is sponsored as a community service by the Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, the Law Office of D.C. Cronin, and We Believe, We Vote. All Meet the Candidate conversations are posted on our YouTube channel, posted as a podcast on our website, and will be featured in our 24/7 live stream. Find us at SpokaneTalksOnline.com.